Greetings, all Shardvixen here. Alright, so it's been taking me a little longer to get back into the swing of the vlogs because my days are different now. I'm doing them on Fridays. I have a hard time getting up. I have a strange sleep schedule. All that stuff. Okay? Know thyself. In 1981, thereabouts, 1980, 1981, I discovered Wolverine. So this is, sorry, my brain just went dead totally. Okay, so I had, as I said, been collecting Spider-Man, Conan, Red Sonja, and all that stuff. Discovered Wolverine around 1980. I was about 15, 16 years old, and then found out that he was part of a group called the Xmen. And the very first X-Men book that I got was this one or the next one for sure. See, so, and that's Storm, and Wolverine is down there and everything, and the artwork and everything in here is totally different than artwork you would see. This comic book is old, you know, it's from 1981, so. You know, it was 20 years old in 2000, and now it's 2020, so it's like 40 years old here. So, but yeah, really a cool story. You end up meeting Jessica Drew, who's the Spider-Woman. But this one specific, and Dazzler, of course. And Dazzler's an interesting character because she's not really well liked as a character. But she has this spectacular power. But she doesn't want to be a superhero. So she's constantly fighting against that. A lot of people read digital comic books now, but I still like comic books. I like the way the old ones feel. I like the way they smell. They smell old. That's how old people smell. Old comic books smell. The problem is that the type of paper that they drew them on doesn't hold up to time. So it gets very kind of goldenly. But this is Know Thyself. So I really like the fact that women were very prominent in the X-Men. Very prominent. So a lot of the stories I enjoyed was encompassed the women of the X-Men. So, you know, that summer, the team mostly consists of Storm, Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Wolverine. Because Jean Grey had died. This was after the time of the Dark Phoenix saga. She had died, and Cyclops couldn't handle it, and he went off on his own. Which is why you see him with his dating and girlfriend and whatever. So, but then they end up on the Living Planet. And then the next one has them meeting Cyclops and Magneto because they were on Cyclops and Magneto thing. And this was the 150th issue of X-Men. I started collecting like 140. I have them that go back some. I picked some up that went further back. I went back to the point of when the second team was created, which it was the first class, of course, was Jean Grey, Cyclops, Beast, Angel, and Iceman. And then they got captured and, you know, things happened to them in space with the Dark Phoenix, and they split up. And Xavier had created a new team, which had Wolverine, Storm, Thunderbird, Nightcrawler. I think it's it at the time that he brought in. Oh, and Banshee. He brought Banshee back, too. And so, they go on to do the stories for a while. And that's where I came in. So I came in right at when they brought in that second team. I didn't really like the first team that much. I still don't really like the first team. I find Cyclops they've done better with him, but in the past he was very much boring. He was just a boring character to me. He was so self-righteous that it was very boring. Him and Wolverine, though, pawned off together pretty well. My favorite Kitty Pryde story is where she and Wolverine are in Japan, and Kitty Pryde learns about you learn a lot of backstory about Wolverine, but you also see a stronger character of how they can play with Wolverine. This is one of my favorite episodes. This is where Rogue joins the X-Men. I have the earlier version where you learn about how Rogue sucked up Miss Marvel's powers. But I like Rogue. I always liked Rogue. Rogue was a powerhouse, and so a powerhouse of something. This is where Wolverine was supposed to get married, and then he can't because he gets dishonored, and so his fiance, whose father is a crime lord, decides that she can't get married to him. They keep that storyline going for a pretty long time. And then, I don't know, because I quit collecting comic books about 10 years ago. So there's a lot of stories I don't have. I do have, like, the origins of Wolverine and stuff in graphic novel because I bought them. So then here's where, this is where Scott meets Madeline Pryor. And introduces her to his family, because his father was the leader of the Starjammers. I don't know anymore if they still do any of that, but so he brings Madeline Pryor up, which sadly we find out down the road that Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey. Then, of course, as comic books are, they bring Jean Grey back. But this is the introduction of one of my all-time favorite characters of the X-Men, which is Rachel Summers. I named my daughter after her, of course. Rachel Summers and Rain Sinclair. They're my two favorite mutant characters. And this is where Rachel finds out that Jean Grey is dead. And that's not possible because her mother is Jean Grey. And this is the catalyst for the Days of Future Past, which is a very famous series because they made it into one of the X-Men movies. The comic book part of it's way better. So, and then see, here's where we meet Baby Phoenix. This is the beginning of Baby Phoenix. And then this is the catalyst issue of creating Baby Phoenix. And I like this style. I know a lot of people were really upset with the idea of Baby Phoenix, but I liked Rachel Summers becoming the Phoenix. I liked it because I thought that she would have better control of it than her mother did, who obviously didn't want it. In the 200s, this is another favorite because this is where we meet Psylocke as she is going to become. The combination of the two, Psylocke and I can't remember, Katana. I don't remember what the other... She starts out as Lady Mandarin, but that's not who she stays. And there was the other character, and I can't remember the other character name. But I liked this character. I thought she was a really great character. My dog is laying against the thing. And so you go through learning about Psylocke. I love the whole series. It's one of my favorite series in the X-Men. Again, strong female personnel. Here's where they introduced a character called the Nanny, and then the Nanny turns Storm into a child. Really like that. I like how comic books have a way of, our characters are getting old. How do we change them up? I like that aspect. Then, again, here's where Rogue meets Miss Marvel. She has a fight inside her head. That one's pretty cool, and how she comes out ahead. The artwork in this has begun to change. You've gone from the classic comic book, I'm trying to think, style artwork, to more busy. The work is busy, and it has more of a realistic look to it for the most part. And you still have the real sexy character looking and stuff. I like when they do Wolverine in this style. It's one of my favorite styles. I'll see if I can find a picture here of him. I think this is mostly Rogue in the Savage Land. So if you like women in bikinis, this would be your favorite art. I'm trying to see if there's No, there's no Wolverine here. There's a Magneto, though. He looks pretty good. Um, the artwork at this time was done by... I'd like to say I know it off the top of my head, but Jim Lee. So this is where you start getting into Jim Lee, who has spectacular artwork, guys. Spectacular. If you ever want to go back and if you're younger and you want to know about some, see, that is like the ultimate Wolverine. That is awesomely cool Wolverine. Those are the posters and T-shirts that I enjoy. I used to have T-shirts from I had a T-shirt with Jim Lee's artwork on it. Can't tell you where it's. I got big and got things. So some of the other favorite things of X-Men was Bishop, the introduction of Bishop. And this is great work too. This is I can't never say his name. Parencio Willis Parencio. See, wonderful details. The artwork becomes more detailed. I think is what it is. More detailed. Let's see if I can find a. But I mostly read, I started out reading X-Men for Wolverine, and then it was the various characters in there. Rogue being one of my favorite, of course. Storm. Key Pride. Key Pride I had a hard time with because she was kind of a whiny teenager. But Bishop. And then we have one of the better series, Inferno. Now this is where Madeline Pride... Because Jean Grey comes back, Cyclops leaves Madeline and hooks up with Jean Grey, and then Madeline finds out that she is a clone, but she's the one who had the baby, which becomes Cable. But then she goes through this, they go through, after the fall of the mutants, which was a sinister plot, he decides that he's going to wake up Madeline Pryor and have her give her powers, connect her powers to the Phoenix, and then have her decide to go after the X-Men. The thing is that she ends up doing this weird magic time thingy, and they have demons involved. Kind of cool, though. It's a cool story. And it sets up for the Apocalypse Now storyline. And Jean Grey, and then now you have Madeline Pryor, Jean Grey, and you have some big powerhouses that come in. I like Dazzler too. I'm not a real big Jean Grey fan, but that is. And then I like the X-Men too because they get into some sci-fi. So here's the Brood. The Broods are like these creatures that symbionts. Parasitic, that go into the body and then take it over and suck out all the insides and their powers. So then you have superpower broods. I was kind of hoping that one of the X-Men movies that have the Brood. And then in the 90s, they decided they'd kill off the X-Men. They didn't really kill them off, but so they have a big to-do in the fall of the mutants. And yeah, everybody hates mutants, so it's decided that they're going to, they go through this whole mystical thing they have going on with chaos and order and trickster. They have a trickster, Native American trickster god, who then decides they're coming in. So they kill them, they have them step through this portal, and they cease to exist. And then they pop back up. And in the process of popping back up, we meet the Reavers, who are also from outer space. The X-Men also did a lot of Mojo stuff with baby X-Men. I like those. Those are kind of cute stories. But then they came out with the classic X-Men, like I said, that went from when these X-Men here were created, which was Wolverine, Colossus, and all of those in the big story. And you got to read, the classic went on for a while, if I remember right. I tried to collect most of them, but that made my stories so I could read my stories too. Plus, the plus of classic X-Men was it gave you little X-Men stories that weren't written before. Some of the like in the 90s, this one came out. So comic books started to change in the 90s, and you had these huge things, these, like, I don't know what to call them, posters that were on your comic books. You collected them. See, I can't get the whole thing in, I don't think. You collected them. Different covers came and stuff. But one of the things I always liked about the writers for the X-Men that they did was they would have where you just followed the X-Men during their regular daily life. So in this one, they're all together playing softball, which was something they all did quite a bit, was play basketball. You'd see them do basketball. But they weren't supposed to use their powers. And they usually towards the end, they'd start using their powers, and people would get really upset and stuff. And this artwork, which is by Joe Maradarian, I apologize for messing it all up, is very beautiful too. Very animated like, you know, but it's really very, and they changed, in the 90s, they began to change the paper that the comic books were written on. Hey! You too. So, I'm thinking somebody might be at my door. So they last over long periods of time. Meaning now, later in life, you can still, 20 years later, it's a nice, crisp paper, and you can read it. Sorry, dog's barking. But one of the things about the X-Men series that's so cool is that it went off and branched other things. And this one is the introduction of Bishop and his sister Shard, which is what my name comes from, Shardvixen. And I really liked her character, but they didn't keep her as a character. In fact, one of the things that's bad about the X-Men, this is the bad thing about X-Men, is that when they would switch over writers and stuff, storylines would just get dropped. And so the Bishop storyline kind of didn't pan out the way that I thought it was, because they decided to change the whole thing up. But this artwork's pretty nice. It's not as crisp to me as some of the artwork. This is more a different stylized, you know, has a different style to it. So what did the X-Men mean to me? In the 80s, for me, finding my place as a young woman, I had joined NOW, the National Organization of Women. I was a feminist. I really was trying to find the middle ground of not wanting to be a housewife and a wife totally, but also wanting to have my own sense of purpose, not having to get married to have a sense of who I was. And so I struggled to find reading material, pop stuff that kind of resident that concept of searching. Stories, sci-fi stories, things like that. And the X-Men, considering that I only started reading them because I wanted more stories of Wolverine, actually really fulfilled that need. Now I quit reading the X-Men when the writers went off in some weird, tangentially strange stuff that I didn't really get into. And also when it started to feel like they weren't really thinking about the things that were happening in the world now. Comic books had always been kind of that thing where you could explore the what if, you could explore how it felt to be such a powerful female, but yet still fall for those, what people called emotional traps that connected women. I don't know that there's a difference. Myself, I don't believe there's a difference between being male or being female that goes beyond the physical. I think the physical is it. You either have a vagina or you have a penis. And you could have a penis and be a female, you can be, and you can have a vagina and be a male. That's my belief, because the outside of how you dress up, the physical, and what you think inside your head isn't the same as what side of the reproduction system you are on. and I believed that in the 80s when I didn't know anybody else that believed that of me. I quit the feminist movement didn't really hold for me as it kept going because it was still about one side or the other. And I am really about all of us in the boat together. I don't think that one person or another person per se, because of their sex or because of the color or because of their religion or because of their beliefs, are any different than another person. I think that we each have traits that we're good at. I have met men that are way better parents than some women. I have met women who are way better at strategy and science than some men. I don't think that sex has any determination of who or what you are. And so when I was 16 and looking for ideas of, I knew I was female, that's how I viewed myself, and I wanted to see representations of people doing all kinds of other stuff even though they were female. I'm going to be switching up Rambling 101, and we're going to be doing Rambling 101 and Rambling and Art. I think, or Art and Rambling, or Rambling with Art, or something like that. I don't know. But I'm going to start doing art stuff, and you won't be seeing me. I'm going to use the new camera, and you'll be watching me make things. So we'll do masks, we're going to do journals, we're going to do all kinds, coasters. I just found this new way to make coasters, all kinds of stuff. And then we're going to move into making DIYs. So that I'll watch a video, write it down, and then I'll tell you where I got the video from, and we'll try it first time, totally, on the camera, and see if it really works out the way they said. If you have ideas of some art stuff you want to see me try, be sure to go to my Discord or go down into the comments and write it up. Also, I've been ordering and I'm cleaning and I'm doing all kinds of stuff to get that all set up. I would like to move it into maybe doing some live streaming while I'm doing art, but I'm not sure how that would go because I'd have to be able to see the chat, and right now the way my computer and stuff's set up, that's not going to work, and I haven't really figured out how to do live streaming with the other camera yet. So, alright, this vlog was kind of long. Some of these know thyself are because, like I said, I got a lot of comic books, I got a lot of books, I got a lot of everything. Anyway, so the next one should be what does the Vixen say? And I'm going to be intervening in that one as well. I'm going to be changing something up, and I think what I'm going to do is called Bits of Me, and I'm going to pick one place or time or something. I'm going to talk about what I remember of that time or place. A little different than Know Thyself, but still talking. This will be more about memories, and I don't know if I'm going to start that next week or if we'll just go into what does the Vixen say. I still have lots of topics and stuff to talk about. I'm an endless black hole of questions, so we'll always be able to come up with questions. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all on, or night, depending where you're at. And I'll catch you all on the flip side. I'm out of here.